I'm Elisa, and I am the Scrappy Wife behind ScrappyWife.com, and today I have a Bible journaling process video for you. I am working through the Storyteller Devotional from Illustrated Faith, and I will link the kit down below. I believe the physical kit is sold out, but the digital version is still available in the Print and Pray shop, and I highly recommend it. It is a fantastic kit so far. I have been loving it. So I'm going to work through the second prompt, the casting call, and I am planning on doing a little bit of mixed media. I have this stencil that I got back during the summer, the beginning of the summer, and I'm anxious to use it and try a new technique with it, so we'll see how that works out. I have some of the die cuts, some big brush markers, and we're just gonna see what happens as I start working. I am in Isaiah 42, 5 through 7. I'll put you on fast forward and we will get going. I have been so excited to use this stencil. I picked it up earlier this summer at the Stampin' Scrapbook Expo, and it is from the Crafters Workshop, and you can find them at thecraftersworkshop.com. I love the big, bold patterns. I really love this stencil. I'm showing you some Pixie Spray, which is another product that I picked up that helps stencils keep in place. So what you do is you spray the back of the stencil, let it dry for 1 minute, and then you place it on your page, and it keeps it secure in place, and then you can work over the top of it. I am going to use some Liquitex matte gel medium, which normally I use to prep a page or to seal something in. I'm putting in a little bit of the Liquitex, and I'm mixing in this liquid metal. I just picked this up on a trip to Georgia, and what you do, I forgot, you're supposed to shake it, and it has kind of a metallic look to it. And so my hope is that when I mix it into the Liquitex matte gel medium, that it will come out with kind of a metal look. It kind of worked. It wasn't quite the look I thought it was going to be, but using the matte gel medium through the stencil is a fantastic way to use your stencils, add a little dimension and texture, but you can still see through it. So you'll see in a second, I'm going to cover up some of the words over to the left, even though I have all this space in the margin, but I just like to take up as much of the page as I can. But I can still read the words, which is important to me. I can't always read all the words through my Bible journaling, but that's okay with me because this is not the Bible I study from. This Bible is specifically for journaling, and you can see I lift up that stencil. It works great with that Pixie Spray, and it left very crisp lines and a little bit of dimension because I use that matte gel medium. Here, it gets a little bit off. I liked the color at the bottom. I like that turquoise color. It coordinates well with the kit, and then I decide, well, I want to do a pink color because there's kind of a soft pink in the kit, and I thought, well, I'll use just a little bit of this metallic ruby. It comes out as a bright pink, and I think if I'd added more drops, it would have come out red. It just wasn't quite the pink I wanted, but I didn't really know that till I started spreading it on, and that's okay. Not everything is going to come out perfect when you are journaling, and for me, when I made this page, it'd been a hot second since I Bible journaled because I'd been on vacation and had family in town and had just been busy. So I was just anxious to jump in, and mistakes happen, and that's okay. I just work around it and go with it. I wasn't pleased with the color, and what you'll see in a second, my solution to that, some people try covering up. My solution was to add more color, which might be contrary to what you think, but I thought, well, the more different colors I bring into the page, then the less that one will stand out as kind of a bright color. So while that dries, over to the side, I have this small manila file folder that came as part of the Illustrated Faith kit. I'm going to use my big brush marker, and I am just coloring it a dark navy blue. I could have painted it, I could have used ink. I just decided, I grabbed these big brush markers recently. I have found myself not using my big brush markers as much recently, and so I'm wondering, what do you guys use them for? I use them a lot for highlighting in my Bible, and I've used them for stamping in the past. I'm just wondering what else I could use them for. I'm really interested to kind of experiment and see. I'm going to seal up this manila folder that's now navy blue, and I'm using the washi tape from the kit and just sealing either side, trimming off the excess because this is going to be a pocket. The devotional section that I'm working on is called Casting Call, and in it, Janet has us looking at whether or not we are hearing God's call. God is calling all of us to do something with our lives. And in general, it's to spread word of the kingdom, to bring others to Christ. But specifically, he has very specific callings for each of us. And are we taking the time to listen? And for me, it had me considering the things that distract me. And so I'm going to use that file folder to kind of file away the distractions in my life, the things that are keeping me from hearing God's call. Now, this is the point that I decide I've got a lot of color. I'm not really sure of this color. So my solution is, instead of less is more is more. I'm going to put a lot of color on the page so that perhaps the bright pink won't stand out quite so much because there's a lot of other brightness on the page. So I take my yellow big brush marker. There's a little bit of yellow in the typewriter that I've pulled out there from the kit, and I'm going to add that. And then I decide, well, my rainbows down at the bottom need a little bit more color since they're solid turquoise. So I'm going to use a pink and a yellow and a navy blue and add some accent color down there just to kind of move the color around the page. Now I'm bringing in that pink a second place in the page so it doesn't stand out quite so much at the top. Also the same thing with the yellow. And I'll repeat the pink again a third time in the bottom, creating that nice triangle that's really pleasing to the eye. As I start to place my elements on the page, I'm really torn. This kit has so many things that I love. I love all of the paper pieces. I just love it all. And I wanted to use this tab, and I was having trouble figuring out how I was going to combine the two. And again, this is kind of the theme of this page. I decide, well, more is more. The more I put up there, the bigger that cluster becomes, the less awkward it will look if I have this small tab, which is the one I wanted to actually stick out. I didn't want the large tab that says don't forget. I didn't want that one to stick up above the page. I just wanted the small one. So I'm adding that in the title of Casting Call because that's the devotional day that I'm on. And then I just work with this cluster up top, adding these cute binder clips. And when you're putting elements in, sometimes if it feels awkward, sometimes adding more really helps ground the page, which again sounds contrary to what you would think, but for me, I've always felt a little bit more comfortable with that. Also decided to move that coffee cup that says called up above my typewriter. I love that coffee cup because it just reminds me of the times when I have the least distractions, and that is in the morning. I have quiet time every morning, and I get a cup of coffee and I sit with my Bible in my prayer journal, and that is the time I don't get on social media. I don't check my email until after I have had quiet time, and that is when I feel the least distracted and the most in tune with what God has for me. I feel like we live in a really loud world, and it's important to find those quiet moments in your day, whether it's in the morning or at night, or even just stopping for a few moments in the middle of the day to just sit and be in God's presence and to hear what He has to say. I'm going to use those same big brush markers to highlight over on the left the verse that I'm focused on. And again, we're in Isaiah 42, 5-7, and this is what it says. This is what God, the Lord, says, who created the heavens and stretched them out, who spread out the earth and what comes from it, who gives breath to the people on it and spirit to those who walk on it. I am the Lord. I have called you for a righteous purpose, and I will hold you by your hand. I will watch over you, and I will appoint you to be a covenant for the people and a light to the nations, in order to open blind eyes, to bring out prisoners from the dungeon and those sitting in darkness from the prison house. And again, this just harkens back to the fact that God has a purpose for our life. He has written our story, as Storyteller is focusing on, and it's our job to be in tune with that. He will walk us through any purpose, any task He has for us, but we have to be in tune with His needs. I think that I'm going to use those glasses, kind of thinking of focusing on God, but I end up changing my mind later and removing that ephemera. And I'm going to label my little library card here. And I pull out some alpha tile stickers from By the Well for God. I love their colored alpha tiles. I think I use them on 99% of my pages. They are amazing, and I have all of the colors because I've been collecting them for a couple years now. So I add the title Distractions in My Life right there, and on that I'm just going to put a list of distractions, and you'll see me add that in just a little bit. The next step, I just received these stamps from Illustrated Faith as part of that stamp sale that they had earlier in the summer. They had a bunch of their old stamp sets that they brought back from like their Etsy days, and they offered a pre-sale. I don't believe that these are available in their shop, but you could just use any alpha stamp. But whenever I see an alpha stamp available, I almost always grab it up. I love me some alpha stamps. So I'm going to add a title, the title of my page, onto the typewriter, and I tried to do answer, but it didn't quite fit across the page. So then I changed to the word hear, and I'm going to use the title, Will I Hear? Meaning, will I hear God's voice above the distractions? Will I focus in and hear His purpose for my life? So I'm getting here all situated and pulling out my ink right here. I'm using the, what is that, the archival ink? Sorry, that's not archival, that's the Versafine Onyx ink, and it works great here. Adding the word here, and you see me coming back right over the top because that E didn't quite fill in, and I think it's because I placed them too close. So I'm going to come back with my black Sharpie, fill in the little stamp that I had an issue with, and add the question mark. I almost always build my titles backwards. Spatial reasoning is not something that's a strong point of mine, so I have a hard time judging where and how everything will fit. So I build my titles backwards. So again, you see me adding the here first, and then I'm going to add in will I, slowly but surely. And I've been trying a different technique with my stamping. If you follow me, you know that I love stamping, but I have some issues with it because I rarely get a great impression. And recently I've been, instead of putting my stamp to the stamp pad, I've been picking up my stamp pad and using it to ink up my stamp, if that makes sense. And for me, that's actually worked pretty well. It's been a little bit cleaner. And then the other tip that I've been using is trying to use an appropriate size stamp block, not getting too big for the stamp I'm using. So that's why you see me switching stamp blocks in between words to try to get the one that's the right size. I think what has been interesting as I add some journaling here about the distractions of my life. When I Bible journal, it not only has it just grown my faith journey and just kind of had me dig into the word deeper, but I love seeing how artistically I've changed, how I've grown in different ways, how I've learned new techniques. Stamping was foreign to me a couple years ago when I started this, and now my stamp collection has grown and I'm learning new techniques and just loving trying new things. And I think that's the exciting part about Bible journaling. It makes us grow in different ways. Grabbing here my Studio Calico Mega Date stamp. I picked this one up at By the Well for God in their Etsy shop. I am in love with it. I have wanted one forever. They are ginormous and it is so fun to play with. Adding the date right in there, and then I'm going to add my journaling, which it ends up covering up the date, but that's okay because I'll see the date when I pull out that card to review. And I'm thinking my page is almost done, but I have these vellum stickers that came with the kit, and I've been wanting to use them, and I just haven't found a way. And again, this kit, it's a loud page, and I'm kind of talking about the distractions and all the loudness of the world, so I think it's appropriate. And I'm going to add a few of the words that really are pertinent to this devotional. I add the word role, as in what role is God calling us to, called up there near the verses. And then the last one I'm going to add is the word prayer. And to me, that is by far the best way to stay in tune with the purpose that God has for us, is to just be in prayer. You know, this page didn't quite turn out on paper like it was appearing in my head, but I think that's one of the fun parts about Bible journaling, is focusing on the process over the product. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up and consider hitting that subscribe button and also that bell notification button. I hope you have a fantastic day, and as always, keep it creative.